so long as like alchemy.
All right, y'all. Game 5, get the shit done, right? You saw me drop my preview video against the Pelicans. Obviously, I had made that over the previous few days in anticipation that it would just be inconceivable for them to lose this Game 5 at Oracle Arena. But somehow they made it conceivable towards the end of this game. You see the fill-in coach for the Spurs, KD. Comb them naps, boy. Now, if you listen to Clay post-game of Game 4, he was not pleased with himself. He was not pleased with the performance or even the Spurs and the referees, and he came out and he played that way. We've heard of China Clay. Well, we got Savage Clay, and that was the story of this game. Everything ran through Clay early on. His aggression and his anger towards the Spurs was clear, and I absolutely loved it. Here we go out in transition. Now, I thought Andre Iguodala was too passive offensively early on in this game. You see he feeds Draymond here for the corner three, but there were several possessions where there was shots for him to take, and we ended up getting worse looks at the basket because he was too passive. Started off on a 7-0 burst here. Defensively, everything was on a string. Watch the double team. You're going to get 2 traps here. The rotations and the connection was strong early on to start the game. Forces a tough shot on Rudy Gay. I think they also made it a point to push the ball early on. You see JaVale rolling. And one little nigga, get out the way, Patty Mills. And I've grown a strong disliking of Patty Mills through this series. Watch JaVale choose wrong here. The play is to Iguodala for the dunk, and he kicks it out to Draymond, who takes an out-of-rhythm misstepped 3. And maybe Golden State's got to treat him like David West a little bit and just not put him in that situation sometimes. Maybe make that plan C instead of plan B, you feel me? There's Rudy Gay with the jumper. McGee has done better on the perimeter, but I've mentioned, I don't know how much he'll play in this Pelican series. Now I'm going to hold it here. Look, they're triple teaming Aldridge in the block. That's too much help for my taste, and it just compromises the defense too much. Rudy Gay's going to kick out, and eventually it generates an open 3-ball for Patty Mills. Now, I want you to watch Clay here at the top of the screen. You see Danny Green cheats over the screen, then he cuts back door. That's where the move is made. Now, Danny Green's behind the 8-ball up over top the screens. They were really trying to defend Clay on the 3-point line, so the back door was open early on, and he really made them pay with that. Now, there's Iguodala. You see him jump step into that. That was an in-rhythm open shot, and part of the reason Clay probably missed that is because he wasn't expecting to get the pass. More Durant not boxing out. Rudy Gay on the offensive glass. They will pay a much greater price against the Pelicans if Durant's not going to box out. Now watch Iguodala again invite a 3-ball from Draymond. Iguodala, you're right under the basket with Patty Mills, and instead it's a pull-up mid-range jump. He's got to remain decisive and confident on the offensive end, or it's going to hurt us because he takes away spacing as it is already. Clay, more backdoor as they try to take away the 3-ball. Here we go out in transition. The defense was on point. Dre rewards him for running 2 hands above the rim. That's more like it, Andre Iguodala. Both these teams are very good at the subtle deceptions of moving without the ball. Watch DeJounte Murray come to set the screen. So Clay got ready to fight over that screen, but Mills, misdirection, pops out and gets the 3. Very good plays from both of these teams. Here's more Manu doing what Manu does. He is an elite flopper. Clay's frustration, but I just loved Clay's mentality throughout this game. There's the pass we're looking for, Kevin Durant, the over-the-top pass in the pick and roll. No more of those little low bounce passes. There's a time for every pass. He just overuses that. Quinn Cook was not able to connect in the corner. There's KD getting a bucket, but it would be an ugly, ugly offensive night for Durant. The double off the shooter. Poor decision. You got to double off Kyle Anderson there. Ginobili makes them pay. All of a sudden, San Antonio right back in this game after a 7-0 start. There's one of those pocket pass turnovers, and teams, they just know it's coming. One thing I do like Kerr is doing is end-of-quarter substitutions, either defensively or offensively. It'll pay dividends moving forward as you see Zaza trying to deal with Clay's extra pre-game chocolate milk. Again, the deception of screens. Watch Tony Parker run across Livingston. Now he's got Parker on his mind, and then before he knows it, he's lost him, and Gay's crept to the top for the open 3. So it's the deception. It's not always the main screen. It's the screens off the ball that get guys' heads turned. Clay, it just didn't matter who was in front of him or what was happening. He was determined to have an impact on this game. Look at the throw-ahead snake dribble and then floater falling left, rattling it in. Savage Clay was taking no prisoners. And this was one of the first games where it really felt like this was Clay's team. Look at the gravity. D. West was ready to play, man. D. West, man, I got so much love for him, and thank God for him because he quietly has huge impacts in the game. Quinn Cook getting abused again, completely spun around from Tony. More Savage Clay and more aggression, and this bodes very well for the upcoming series. I imagine Drew Holiday will be on him most of the time. He needs to remain aggressive and keep the pressure on Drew on that end. Look at the double team coming. It doesn't matter. Here's the Dubs at their best with precision passing as Looney remains Kerr's favorite big off the bench. I just question if he will be able to finish against a longer, more athletic Pelicans team. He did struggle to finish at times in this series, and KD colder than winter felt. Now here was a perfect microcosm of these two shooting from the perimeter. You shoot it. No, you shoot it. Fine, I'll shoot it. Now let me ask you this. I prefer Iguodala shooting the three. I don't know about y'all, but I'd rather have Iguodala shoot it. Just fundamentally, he gets more air under it, just gives it a better shot. There he is being aggressive, driving the lane. So like I said, I think he corrected his lack of aggression as the game went on, but it hurt us early on. There's another pocket pass, Looney the hezzy, and he has this all day. I think we need to lean on this more. They need to encourage him to shoot that because it will be there. Watch Klay change speeds off this screen. He catches it. There's a slight hesitation. He looks like he might dump it off, and it opens it up. That change of pace and keeping the defense guessing will go a long way in this next series with better defenders because he is a bit predictable coming off that curl. And that play right there, that's the play to get KD going. Take him off the ball and let him get curling to his sweet spots. Not enough of that, and there's the KIC of the game. There weren't too many in this one. I didn't have too many complaints, but that one was terrible, and you know who drew it. You have to think, though, does the NBA want the Spurs to advance? Hell no, right? So, I mean, you had to think the whistle would favor us at home, but it was pretty neutral. Here's Iguodala knocking it down, understanding. You see how much more arc he has on it than Draymond? So I don't even know what their percentages are at this point. I just know by my eyes he has a much better shot of making it. Then look at the floppage. There was just shameless flopping going on from San Antonio in this first half, just because it was just out of desperation here as the quarter winds down, scrambling KD out in transition all the way. How many footsteps for 94 feet? 5, 6, 7 foot gliding. Now Durant finished 8 of 19 from the field, which is ridiculous because as the game played out, it felt like he just didn't make anything. Outlet pass to slow-mo, please. No hands, no hands. So here we go, closing quarters and halves. We gotta get better, and it's Klay, bitches, at the buzzer. Peep the celebration and peep the chef priceless moment as Klay owned the first half of this game. Third quarter, I was not pleased with this effort from KD. Look at him reach. And then just really a lackluster effort there at the rim. I brought up rim protection moving forward. Durant, we need 2 or 3 blocks out of you a game. Draymond, the drop step. If he's going to play in the post, we were talking about Steve and some of you guys about he doesn't have a post-up game. The drop step would be what he needs to utilize, but then he can't be so deep under the rim, right? He's got to catch it a little further out to use that drop step. Look at the gravity. Klay, the kick out, and Draymond's going to knock one down on his way to a 17-point night. But it was really just his effort and emotional leadership that stuck out. More Klay. And like I said, this is just him being as forceful as I've ever seen him offensively. And I know he only had 4 assists, but I feel like he was responsible for more of our offense than I've ever seen. Patty Mills had himself a good night, 18 points, 4 threes, as the Spurs remained in zombie mode and would not go away. Here's KD and the rim protection we're looking for. Holiday and Davis will need deterrers at the rim, otherwise they will attack relentlessly. Take another look at it. We're going to need him to be more aggressive and decisive coming over from the weak side. And the shot wasn't falling, so you like this. This is what scorers do. He started to get to the line. He started to drive and be aggressive. And it's like you think he's struggling. You look up and he has 20 points. There's a double team. And let me ask you guys this. As you watch JaVale with great help defense and not fouling, is it in his contract that he can't play in fourth quarters? Because I just don't remember him playing in any fourth quarters. And I think there's times where we could really use his energy when we just don't have our foot on the pedal to finish off a game. Now here's us playing right into the Spurs' hands and letting Draymond shoot a 3. My suggestion would be move Looney out there. We know Draymond's a monster on the glass, and Looney, from what we've seen, is a much better perimeter shooter. Now I predicted game 1, y'all. I predicted game 1, but I'll say by game 3 without a doubt. They may try to buy him more time and see how we look in game 1 or game 2, depending on, like, if we win game 1 without him, they may roll out game 2 and then buy him a whole more 5 or 6 days. But by game 3, expect the chef. Now remember, midway through the season, Draymond seemed to be liking this shot. I hadn't seen him use the glass. That's a tougher shot off glass rather than straight ahead. But remember, there was a few weeks in the season where he was really liking the floater and it was falling for him. I'd like to see more of that, and Patty Mills all over Livingston. Livingston, when he matches up with Rondo, he needs to exploit that. As strong and as good as Rondo is, Rondo's 6 foot, maybe 6'1". Livingston needs to get to his sweet spots if he's matched up with Rondo, and that's good to see. because this little dirt devil, Pat Mills, I don't know where that came from, but bust him up. If he's going to be digging into our guys and fouling and flopping, make him pay the price, and we did. David West, that's a dime. That's a rip pass. And I had mentioned David West's impact. You won't see it on the box score, but if you watch the game, he kept coming up with play after play, the drop off, and that's what we got to do. Now, for the second game in a row, Steve Kerr went to Nick Young late in the game, and it's got me nervous. It makes me think that he's planning to use him in this Pelicans series. I will say, if Rondo's in the game, I think they have some guys that they can hide him on, non-offensive guys or guys they want to dare to score. And then what do you know? Another turnover from KD out of a bounce pass trap. He just hasn't seemed to learn, and here's the aggression pushing through. Now watch Patty Mills tabletop Looney here. And maybe I'm just going off reputation. It's a bang-bang call, but that looks dirty to me. He looks like he did some extra butt scooping when Looney was in the air. Now, they called the foul, but that's the type of stuff, I mean, that's where you can have a Pat McCall-like fall if Looney would have went over the other end. So Mills, I kind of wanted to see Zaza get in the game and set a few screens on Mills, you feel me? Draymond Green, 19 rebounds here. You see this sequence here to start the fourth quarter where what happened here in the fourth quarter was we were hunting the knockout punch. If you ever boxed or you've done any kind of combat sport, they'll always tell you if you're looking for the knockout, you're never going to get it. And in this fourth quarter, Golden State was too anxious for the knockout punch, and it made them sloppy. I was not pleased with it. I understood what was going on, but at the same time, the Warriors teams of old would have slashed the throat of this old San Antonio Spurs team. There's Clay and one out in transition, but San Antonio kept on battling. Poor decisions, turnovers, and I guess I question how much of it was San Antonio's heart and grit of not wanting to go easily, and how much of it was Golden State just kind of with their mind already in round two and just trying to go through the motions of finishing off this Spurs team. There's KD low on the block and gets that one to go. There was a sequence down the stretch here where KD had 10 straight for the Warriors and really kind of sealed the deal on his way to 25 points after struggling. Here's another one. So they went ISO down the stretch as things got sloppy again. And Steph can't come back soon enough, so we don't have to rely on this. KD, again, 40 more minutes and high usage will take its toll ultimately as these playoffs extend. Aldridge, another 30-point night, and the Spurs kept battling. Here's a hunter, right? That's a hunting shot. He hasn't hit a three all night. He's hunting for the knockout punch. Clay's going to do the same off balance, and it allowed San Antonio to keep breathing in this game. One thing I think we've learned moving forward is Kevin Durant doesn't have good enough ball security to handle the ball late in games, right? Whether he's getting knocked off his pivot and traveling, making a bad bounce pass, or just getting stripped from a smaller guard. I don't want the ball in his hands unless he's shooting. We don't need him dribbling at the top late in games. There's Aldridge, the pick and roll, and look at the Spurs' face. Look, it's like they know it's over, but they want to go out on their sword with some pride. So the timeout, and what do we get? KD's just going to go hard left off the hezzy, and I love that he went to the basket here. So it wasn't pretty, but it got the job done, and there's no doubt there's going to be games moving forward where we need this ugly grind-out ISO style. But to rely on it, like I said, all the time will wear down the 7-foot Reaper. I know everybody's heard the comments that C. Webb made about Draymond Green. And yeah, C. Webb was twice the talent, but he played with half the nuts. Draymond finished with 17, 19, and 7. Now here we go, final possession. I'm going to hold it here. Look at the spacing. You see Sean and Ig in the same corner? That allows Mills to double Clay, and it really just blows up the play. Kerr, I'm not pleased with that. That's something that needs to be worked out in January. You can't, like, these playoffs always come down to these final possessions. They need to be cleaner with that at this point in the season. So what do they do here? Not exactly a great drawn-up play. Now watch Draymond leave his feet before KD's even ready for the play. I'm sure he was anticipating, but that's a dangerous play, and KD with the bailout jumper. So it didn't come as easily or as crisp as I expected, but the Warriors get it done in 5.